Alright, what is going on, guys? It is Benny, and today we are going to be playing the top 5 best mortar decks in Clash Royale, and I'm going to teach you guys how to use every single one. And for our first deck, we're going to be using Mortarbait with Musketeer. Honestly, it is very nice and refreshing to see this one in the meta, and I genuinely do believe that with the Musketeer, we are going to see a very big resurgence of this deck. I think that Musketeer is, very strong with the new buff that is coming to it, and that's going to help a lot against a lot of these beatdown decks. And with Mortarbait as well, there are a lot of different ways that you can play this deck, so you can run Evil Firecracker instead of Musketeer. If you would like, I would say that that's probably the best substitution if you don't want to use Musketeer. You can use Evo Knight instead of Evil Musketeer if you want to, or you can use Evo Knight and Evil Musketeer, although realistically I'd probably try to run Evil Mortar with this deck, but there's just a lot of different ways that you can play it. You can even sub Goblin Gang out with guards. There's really just no end to what you can do with it. So I think that this is a great deck to start off with. Now this guy's going to play Rascals, and one of the main things that you need to make sure you're doing is structuring your defense so that your Musketeer is always back here and staying alive as long as possible. That is crazy that he's going to go ahead and play that balloon, but we do have a lot of air defense, so I'm going to play my Mortar up high. And the reason why we do that is because it pulls the balloon into a position where, it's delayed a little bit, and we also often get a mortar shot, or at the very least he has to kite the mortar shot. So it just forces him to defend a little bit and not fully commit to his push. It's kind of the same thing that we would do against Hog Rider, so that's pretty good. Now he keeps splitting the Rascals. That's actually kind of annoying. Okay, I'm just gonna have to log that, unfortunately. I feel like, realistically, maybe we could have played that a little bit better, but just to be safe, I don't want to risk one of those little rascals getting a ton of damage on my tower or anything, so we'll defend that. And then I'm actually gonna play my Skeleton Barrel here because I'd like to bait out his spell. Because, every time we can do that and then he's not able to use his spell with his balloon, that is perfect. And then because he used his Bar Barrel, I'm going to Mortar here, and he'll probably play the Inferno Tower, so I'll get the Spear Goblins in front. We do catch the Inferno Tower, so then I'm going to go ahead and play the Evil Musketeer here. Ooh, that's too bad that we locked onto the Ice Golem instead. That could have been perfect if that worked out, but that's okay. We got the Musketeer going in, and we do need to be careful because that balloon will be coming out, so we have our Fireball ready for the balloon, and we do have our Mortar as well to pull it, so that is good. I'm going to split my Goblin Gang right here. Let's go ahead and let's play the Knight first, just to distract that one Rascal. And then I'm going to play my Musketeer right here, and we'll see how this goes. Do I want to Fireball this? I think I'm just going to let it go. Even if it gets one hit, that's okay. We do come out pretty good, though. He doesn't get a hit. And then I'm just going to log right here to get rid of everything right there, so we don't have to worry about it. And one of the things whenever you're playing against a balloon cycle deck is often they're just going to try to get you playing defense and have you stuck playing defense, so it's really important that you do also pressure them every chance you get. Now because he played the Inferno Tower there in the middle, he's going to have to deal with the Mortar somehow, so I'm going to start the Musketeer in the back. I just want to get my Musketeer cycling, and then I can play some Spear Goblins here just to have that ready. I'm going to log because I know that's pretty safe, and then we're going to go ahead and play the Mortar into the opposite lane here, and we'll get a Knight down for the Miner as well, and he's dealing with all of that. The Mortar is still alive. Let's go ahead and get the Goblin Gang down. Unfortunately, the Bar Barrel does catch some of it, but we do get the Mortar lock, so that's huge, and I think we're definitely going to get the win here. So let's give him a good game, let's give him a good luck, and let's go on into the next. Alright, you guys, for our next deck, we are going to be running the Skeleton King version of, I don't even know if this counts as Mortarbait. I don't really know what we would call it, but it has Skeleton King and it's Mortar, and I think it's very similar to Mortarbait. Now there's two versions of this deck. There's the one that runs Goblin Stein, and there's the one that runs Skeleton King. And the reason why I'm showing you the Skeleton King one first here is because Goblin Stein is going through some balance changes, and I think it's a little bit debatable about what's going to happen with Goblin Stein. We're not 100% sure if it's going to be, super strong still, or if it's going to slow down a little bit and maybe not be as good. It's a good thing that we had the Cannon Cart there, though, because that will pull the balloon away from the tower. We'll play the bats here, and we're just going to be ready with our arrows in case he does anything quick on us and, play a spell or anything. But this deck is debatably probably the #1 or #2 deck on this list and this entire video. This last season, this deck was very, very popular. It was kind of hand in hand with the amount of top finishes that were also done with Goblin Stein. It's a very, very strong deck, and the biggest thing that you need to make sure you're doing with this deck is you need to make sure that you're taking advantage of your Skeleton King ability, because every single time you pop it, it's usually going to be a good elixir trade for you. So that's just something that you really want to make sure that you're taking advantage of, because it's 2 elixir to pop the Skeleton King ability, and they're likely going to have to use a log or something along those lines to counter it. Now that Inferno Dragon is going to get an insane amount of value. That is actually a really good play by this guy, so that kind of ruins my day a little bit, but that's okay. He's going to start a slow push. How do I want to deal with this? You want to be very careful playing a game like that where somebody's playing a slow push, it's very dangerous to play into that. But this guy apparently is just, he can't make his mind up of which way he wants to go, so he'll go for the executioner on the other end, and then he's going to arrows my bats, which is kind of a little bit crazy. I'm not sure about that play. We'll play the cannon card here to deal with the executioner, and I have a feeling a Mega Knight is coming out here soon. I think that's what this guy's doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the Skeleton King in the back on this same lane. The reason why we're doing that is because we want to get our 3-card cycle and try to get back to another cannon card, and also just, you know, get a little bit of a push going here. We'll get the Goblin Gang in front of the Skeleton King there, and then let's get the Ice Wizard here as well. We're going to wait to use our Evil Bats if we can. I am going to use my arrows though, actually, just to kind of help out with everything. We'll play the cannon card. We did put it in line with the executioner, which maybe wasn't the greatest strategy, but that's okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and play the evil mortar because we have everything going in there, and let's just wait and see how this guy deals with that. We are going to let's play the arrows actually here to kind of help out with everything, and then we'll get the Skeleton King to keep the mortar alive. We should be locked onto the tower, so now I want to get a miner onto the tower just to really keep the pressure up on this guy, and he is going to go for the Mega Knight. That was a bit of a weird play because it's just not going to do whatever he wants it to do in time. And then let's go ahead and let's get the cannon card down here just to be safe and make sure that we're okay, but we do have to be ready for that balloon. So I'm going to play the mortar here just to keep the pressure up on him. I have a feeling a Valkyrie or an Executioner will come out. This guy's a mid-ladder menace, so I guess he just had to give up, so let's give him a good game. Alright guys, for our next deck, we are going to be running a deck that is very similar to Mortarbait because we are using Cannon card, but it also uses Miner, and one of the biggest things with this deck is really chipping your opponent down and making sure that you play very strong defense throughout the whole match. So that's honestly the most important thing that we're going to do, and we are also running Cannoneer. Now typically I do like to run Poison, and in this matchup I'm not running Poison, but really I think that Miner and Poison go very, very well together, and so if you want to run Poison with this deck, 100% go for it. We do also have Evil Ice Spirit, and Evil Ice Spirit, while it doesn't give you a ton of offense necessarily, it gives you a lot of defense, and it's very, very helpful for defense. So with having Miner with this deck, you know, that is just something that is very helpful. He's going to go for the Hog Rider there, so we're going to play the Mortar right here. Unfortunately, the Mega Knight did jump, so that's a little bit inconvenient for us, but let's go ahead and log. Ooh, we do catch the Dark Goblin as well, so that's going to be very good. And then we should have a decent counter push here. The question is, do I... Okay, you know what, actually, I'm going to go for the Ice Spirit first, and let's wait and see what his counter is to this. I was debating going for a Goblin Gang, but honestly, I feel like it's just so risky. Now I'm going to play it because I feel like I missed out on an opportunity. Okay, he has log, so at least we do know that we would have got absolutely cooked if we had done that. So we'll go for the mortar now because I'm definitely up on elixir on this guy because he went so far in on that one first push, and I don't think we really have to play a counter here. What I'm actually going to do is I am going to log because that will take out the Dark Goblin and also counter the Hog. Usually whenever you play a mortar, then all you need is a hog if you're using, or a log, sorry, not a hog, to counter a Hog Rider if you're running Cannoneer. So that is something good and a good interaction to be aware of. We'll play the Spirit Goblins here because this guy has Mega Knight, we know that he really wants to build up one of those pushes. And then I'm going to play the Cannon card right here. I'm going to wait for it to jump onto the Cannon card, and then I'm going to play the Evil Ice Spirit just to kind of slow this guy down a little bit and make sure that we don't take too much damage. And then we'll play the defensive mortar there in that position, and the Cannon cart and the Cannoneer should take care of everything. We do also catch the Goblin Gang there, so that is good. I'm gonna go ahead and go like this. He'll probably log, but that's okay because then he just has to spend some elixir to take out the miner. That is crazy. I think this guy just gave up, so that is some cookage that we just went through there. So let's give him a good game, let's give him a good luck, and let's go on into the next deck. Alright guys, for our next deck we're going to be using Mortar with Ice Wizard, and honestly something that is a little bit different with this deck that I did see a lot last season and I'm seeing this season again is people are using Lightning instead of Rocket, and I think it's just because Lightning fits so well into the meta right now. You know, it's one of those cards that just counters 90% of the cards that people are using in these beatdown decks and these Ram Rider decks. So it is a very good deck to use. If you want, you can use Rocket instead. You can kind of experiment and see what you prefer, but we are going to be using the Lightning version, and we have Valkyrie in here as well. Now, one of the nice things about this deck as well is it's a pretty good deck for people who are free-to-play players because you can use Valkyrie or you can use Knight, which are easier cards to level up than something like a Legendary or a Champion, for example. Mega Minion, also been around for a very long time, pretty easy card to level up. And then Ice Wizard is your main Legendary as well as Log, and both of those fit into quite a few decks as well, so that's good. I'm going to play my Lightning here just to deal with this because, you know, we want to play it safe, and I wasn't really paying attention. I don't know if he's using Evil Lumberjack or not, but if he is, that is going to be quite an annoying matchup for us because Evo Lumberjack sucks. I hate it so much. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But we get some good damage with our Ice Wizard. The main thing with this deck is you have to prioritize defense every single time. You can't go for offense and like at the expense of losing a tower. If you tower trade with somebody, it's going to be very risky. So you really want to try to prioritize defense, and you also want to prioritize keeping your mortar alive. So right here, I'm going to get a lot of mortar damage, but now I need to defend. I'm actually a little bit scared for whatever is going to be coming my way here. So let's get the Mega Minion down, because that's just a very good defensive card that's a little bit more annoying for people to counter. And then I'll get my goblins down here. We want to keep the IceWiz alive as long as possible. That's okay that he used his Tornado. I'm not really worried about that at all. We can just play the Valkyrie right here, and then that should counter the P.E.K.K.A, and then the Inferno or the E-Drag will also be distracted, and we got really good damage on the right side as well. So that is good. I'm going to play the Mortar right here. We could go for a Tornado play. Let's just wait and see what he does. Okay, that is a little bit diabolical, if I'm being honest here. We'll play the Mega Minion here. Let's go ahead and get the Goblins down here as well. And then I'm not even going to worry about that Goblin gang on the opposite lane here. Let's get the Valkyrie over here into the middle, because that will pull the Evo Lumberjack out of range of the Brage, and then he will be useless. And then we're going to defensive Mortar now, because, you know, I think that's going to be our best play here. And we have Lightning, so we can take the tower, but he's going to give it to us anyways with the Valkyrie. We'll play the Ice Wizard back here. We want to try to keep that alive as long as we can. Then we'll play the Mega Minion, because remember, that's very annoying for them to deal with. Let's get rid of the E-Drag, or the... yeah, no, it is an E-Drag. Okay, good. That's such a tongue twister to go through with all the different dragons, to be honest. But we will defend very easily. We can play the Evil Valk there, and that will just plug everything up, and we'll be good. Then we can pull that balloon with the Mortar. We'll go ahead and get an Ice Wizard down here as well. And let's give him a good game. Let's give him a good luck, and let's go on into the next. All right, you guys, for the last deck we're going to be showing you, it's going to be the Goblin Stein Mortar deck. And this deck was hands down the best Mortar deck last season. I actually saw some record-breaking finishes from Mortar players, which was pretty crazy with this deck. So it would be a disservice to show you guys, but I want to preface this with 2 comments, okay? First things first is I don't know if this deck is going to be amazing, you know, a week into the season because of the Goblin Stein balance changes. I'm sure it will be very good. It could still be the best deck. Because of the Goblin Stein balance changes and all of the balance changes coming, I don't want you guys to necessarily level this deck up first out of all of the decks on this list. If you were to pick one, I would probably wait a week before leveling this one up, just because, you know, I would hate for you guys to spend all of your stuff on, you know, leveling up the Goblin Stein or something like that, and then it get nerfed and it not work out. So I don't want you guys to do that, so I just want to preface this with that. And the other thing as well is I made a change to this deck. So typically people will use Ice Wizard and they will use arrows in this deck. I'm going to use Poison and Log, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I find that Poison is a little bit easier to play with Cannoneer. I know that a lot of people that watch my videos are kind of in the lower ladder to mid ladder ranges, and so I don't want you guys to, you know, fall victim to this mentality that if you're not playing the exact meta deck, it's not good, because I don't think that's true. And I actually do prefer the Poison in this deck anyways, regardless. I like the way that Poison goes with Miner, and I think that you know, a lot of my wins do come from Miner Poison cycling with this deck. But on top of that, it's just a little bit easier to play because you can use the Poison defensively against a lot of spam decks. So 100%, those are the 2 things I just want to warn you guys about. You can play the main version or my version. It's totally up to you. Now, we got the cannon card going in there a little bit slow. I'm going to play bats here. I don't really know if they're going to get the job done for us. I was worried that he might zap, but that's okay. And then we'll wait. Cannon card will go down, so let's get the Goblin Stein cycling here. And because we have a Cannoneer versus Cannoneer matchup, our bats are going to be very, very important for us. I think that our bats are going to get a lot of value, and honestly, most of the time, we're actually probably going to literally just play the bats on their own. And then he's going to play the Firecracker there. I almost went for on the King Tower. That would have been quite bad, but we will pop the Goblin Stein ability, and because that's going to be very valuable. And then we don't get the cannon card down in time, so I probably shouldn't have played it, but that's okay. We'll play the Mortar again because we just want to keep the pressure up on this guy as much as we can. He'll play the Dark Goblin, and we're gonna get locked onto the tower there. So, oh, that's too bad actually. We're locked onto the Dark Goblin, so we won't be locked onto the tower, but we can go ahead and just play the Goblin Gang like this. Even I'm gonna let those wall breakers get onto the tower because the Skeleton Barrel is much more scary, so you know, we don't want to necessarily mess that up. And then I'm just going to play the Poison here for that Dark Goblin. This guy is definitely cycling now, so let's get the Goblin Stein down here because we can pop the ability and that will just stop everything in its tracks. We can pop the Goblin Stein ability here as well, and that will also allow us to save our log. And we do get a connection onto the tower, so let's get a Miner on there. And then if he plays anything to counter the Miner, the Mortar will hit it as well. There's the Goblin Gang, so we're still in a pretty good position here. I'm going to play the Cannon Cart right here to help deal with that Goblin Gang. I'm not going to really care about a King Tower activation with this just because I I would like to save my elixir. But I will play the bats alone onto this opposite lane here. And his mortar is locked onto the cannon cart. Now let's go for a mortar here, and let's go ahead and play the poison right on the tower as well. And it looks like this guy gave up, but our bats got a lot of damage on the other side as well. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope that these decks help you out. Let me know down in the comments if you like them, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one.